Welcome, friends. This is Sarah. This is the second video in clearing out my scrap bin, so be sure you didn't miss the first part. I've been working on my scraps and I did my fussy cutting in my boxes and I tore the sentiments and punched them and got those ready, trimmed all these. Then I started consolidating the piles on the counter because it had gotten away from me a little bit. And then I thought, well, I would have more fun with these scraps if I had journals. Our friend Nancy has introduced the concept of a cleanup journal. Clean off the counter, clean up after your Christmas projects. Maybe you've got Christmas scraps spread all over and you want to prep a December daily for next year. Now's the time. Make all those embellishments. Instead of working on scraps, I made more UFOs. I don't know if this is progress. I took a mailer and covered the outside with blue wallpaper, the inside with really, really cool textured wallpaper. This wallpaper was happy mailed to me, thank you. And then this is a mailer and a bunch of random things that were either happy mailed to me or I created. I like this calendar. That was sort of my inspiration for starting this one. And I'm thinking the outside will be covered with fabric. I have this fabric ironed, but I don't want to, I don't want to go outside in the cold. And I usually use spray adhesive for attaching my fabric covers. I could maybe sew on it, but it's bubble wrap, so I don't know how that will go. And I don't know that I want to attach it until I figure out what my inside is going to be. I do have this awesome floral too, but it's too thin and the stuff shows through, but it would work for the inside because the bubble wrap gives it an additional layer and separates it. So I might do that fabric on the inside. I also have some other wallpapers, but nothing really bright enough to go with this. Like, let me show you kind of what I have left for wallpapers, I think. Now, it's also possible that I have something cool. I was just digging through the pile over in the corner. I think I have spent quite a bit of time and made these UFOs. So now I'm gonna go sit on the couch and actually work with the scraps. Oh no. And while I was looking, I found a whole other bag that said flimsy, collage, decorate, and keep collage. I found these bags and then I looked through them to see if there were large enough pieces to make journal covers, but there really weren't. I always find more, don't I? I think that's it for my update. I thought I should show you my progress because it is the 31st now, so it's been days. This is Zelda if you're new here. But here's the funny thing. I don't feel like I have progress to show you. What I have done is make a giant mess. These things were in that bin. I found more bags around that shelf, 2 big Ziploc bags, and I've spread stuff out. I have made quite a few things. I actually, along the way, made 2 journals. And my plan was to use them for cleanup of the smaller things, but I was going through the shelves and I was going through the loose items. So I made unfinished objects, UFOs. I haven't touched this at all or added to it, but I did recycle the others that I hadn't started collaging in. Ooh, I do like this paper. This is a fairly thin layer, so that's a good sign. I mean, I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. I've been sitting and thinning and going, okay, when I tear stuff up, except the problem is I have cats that take it back out of the trash. This is Eliza. When I tear stuff up, I say, okay, I don't need that anymore. Or everything I touch, I went through and said, goes in the go away, goes in the trash, just sorting them. I did a bunch watching TV last night. I have to keep stuff here so they don't steal it. I made a whole bunch of these things from Bonnie and Clive from Bonnie's channel, and I inked some of the edges of them in blue, some of them in vintage, whatever it is. These are really heavily inked. I did those one night in the bedroom where it was darker. These I did in the craft room, and I kept them pretty light. I'll probably make some more that are not inked at all. I haven't opened this box, haven't even worked on it. I did fussy cutting for all those little things that we took out of the pad. I needed 2 hands. All of these tags and pockets are ready to go now. And you can see I tied them with the string we found. I think I have more. Oh, I know what else I have. I made journal cards with the Christmas scraps. I did blues. More Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. There's more blues. They're pushed under the big cutting mat. So I have a whole bunch of journal cards, manila folders, and scraps. Things I need to use up. It's great. The sheer volume of it is overwhelming. It is a lot to handle. I think I'll take this in the other room, add some water to it, and let it dry. Maybe, before I said wad it up, and that's usually how I do it, but maybe I'll lay it out and spray it with my spray bottle on the cookie sheet. Tissue is hard to dye because you can't move it around. You can't play with it. You have to be super careful. But I love the texture. I love the crinkly of it. It's great for making embellishments. This size piece of paper too, you could use for weeks because all you need is a little bit, a little splash, a little glue smush, a little staple. You have a great time. It is about 8:30 or so on December 31st. So we are still in 2023. It's not time to kick off the new year. I'm going to make a second cup of coffee. I think that's vital to this process, and see what I can do so I don't have scraps everywhere. But I don't think my goal is just to consolidate them. She's guarding the file folders, I think. My goal is really to say, this box can be full, but it cannot be overflowing, and it needs to be things that I want to use, I'm excited to use, and have a plan to use. I started grouping like items, book pages, offcuts from tea-dyed blue pages, envelopes. Here's another one that I made, but I haven't chopped yet. It's ready to be cut. I did the wrong side again, so I have to cover that up. I keep doing that. And I found some more of that wonderful wallpaper, I think, or wrapping paper, I think Mary gave to me. I might make a mini journal out of one of these. It depends on how big they are. If not, maybe I'll fussy cut. So really good scraps. What I started doing was gluing down good things and then digging through and finding more. I'll turn this into a journal card. Just, sorting. The downside to doing these projects while you watch TV is at one point I had the board, at one point I used the box, then I had sorted in here. So I don't have an overall sort where I've grouped like items. So I really need to get to that. And I was working here and collaging on an envelope, and then I left the room. I think with a cup of coffee, and I will set a timer. I will set a 30-minute timer, and we'll see what this looks like. And it'll be a combination of using scraps as fast as you can and tidying. And then we'll wrap up when the 30-minute timer goes off. 30 minutes was very optimistic, wasn't it? This counter is all cleaned off. The items that were being flattened under it are out, so we're done there. And I left the scraps. I didn't think of it at the beginning, but as I cut, I left the scraps so you could see the scraps that were going to go in the trash. The coffee got cold. I did have some fun and make some stuff. The girls are running around like crazy. And I took a few things off the table. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm still having fun, and I want to do some filming today that's going to need my room to be a lot cleaner. So I'm going to microwave the coffee. Tacky? I don't know. You got to do it as a crafter. It gets cold. Drink some coffee, and then I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes again and see how this looks, because I stayed on task because the timer was set. And maybe they could all look like that. The towel is cat bed. It seems to help them find an anchor and calm down. If it's calm time, but I can't create calm time. I think that's mine and I want it back. It's hard to lay out your projects here. Another half-hour timer came and went. I still haven't finished my coffee. This is a really natural pile. Book page plain scraps, the vintage paper. I want to get the cheddar mixed and put it on here. These are little bits that were in the bottom of the box. Look, I haven't seen the bottom of that box in years. I haven't found a scrap here that's big enough to cover this. I was going to use it for a mini journal. I mean, I have more of them. I don't know why it has to be that one, but I think a little mini journal might help me because these two, wherever the other one is, aren't going to empty this out and clean it up. This is my done bin, and I'll show that to you at the end. And this one, I still have to fix the back. It's a UFO at this point. And then I made these during that. This one was a UFO. It was all assembled. It just needed something sturdy. And then this one, oops, I missed a spot right there. We're going to wrap up this video finally. I wouldn't say I'm absolutely completely done. I would say I'm going to the beach. It is New Year's Day. Welcome to 2024. And I have things on my list I want to do today that are more on the relaxing side, less on the crafting side. So I want to wrap this video up. This is my box. So this is the box that was overflowing. You couldn't even see it. I have some really nice vintage collage options here. Things I just couldn't throw away. Like this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely not. I could play with this for hours. This is probably a week's worth of entertainment. I've left some envelopes in here because sometimes I take this box as a go and play box. The envelopes are nice for sorting things. They're nice for collaging on. It's just nice to have different things in. So if I take the envelopes and put them where I store envelopes, this box gets boring. I've got a couple of large pieces here. Then this is all neutral and solid tea scraps. I could stamp on these is what I was thinking. So that's why I kept them all. I don't have any stamps in the box. That'd be another thing to keep in here. This is maps and blue pieces that are dyed. Easy to tell the difference. And I just couldn't throw maps away. I have more, but I didn't. This bag, I might even leave this out. This is all natural, nice textures. Really great for a nature journal or something to bring in green. Green goes so well with blue. I need to learn to like it more because it helps. You know, you get those blue and green florals and you got a gorgeous journal. I didn't do a thing with this book. And in fact, this piece is still in here safe. I do have a whole roll of this, so I don't need to hoard it, but it's pretty. So didn't touch this at all. And then down here, I took, as I sorted this box, and this was probably like this before, if it had been one pile. I took all the book pages, natural book pages, scraps or not. Natural meaning it might have some gold paste or some random, but it doesn't have images stamped on it. It's just a book page ready to fold up, tear up, do whatever. Then I left my ruler for the same reasons. So this box, I might add some more to because there is a little more clutter around me. Not bad, though. Let me show you. So some of the stuff that was in there got into that pile. That's all stuff we're going to talk about. My friend Jeannie and Eileen, they brought me stuff, so new stuff came in. I know. 2024 is not off to a good start. These are the scraps that somewhere in that box. I mean, overall, it was great. So let me show you the items that I made. Now, remember, these were the junky junk scraps. These would have looked totally different if it was scrapbooking, and I might have made more cards. This was already stamped. When you love somebody, you're supposed to tell them. I added red and literally that tiny piece that was sitting around. This one, I don't know. I'd have to get a mixed media grunge kind of look going on. I had one before that this would have fit into. Orange is good because I can always bring in blue. This was, I can't remember if we did this together. I think so. The little flipper thing for like socks advertisements. I decided not to cover that because I didn't want to mess with it. And it's not bad. It's kind of a fun shape on the inside. These are pockets. I would come back and add some sort of embellishment or stickers or something, die cuts, scraps of paper, whatever would tie it into the journal better. Because I do such different looks, I'm not just like a grunge vintage photo kind of person. I don't worry about making all of my pockets and stuff a finished product because I tie them together at the end lots of times. Look at this. Okay, this one's probably done. I was thinking a tip out. It's just gorgeous. Striped paper and little bits of things that I wanted. Some of the things in that box were tiny bits of paper that I could not part with. Some of them were, I should have thrown them away the first day. And I went through and I put stuff in the trash, and I put probably an inch of paper in the go away box. And I'm fine with that. Those cookie wrappers, I can't remember which one of you that sent me that, a nice green paper, and then just a bit of script. And again, I'll put something over the top. Mixed media that's been sitting around forever. This is what I decided. It's a tuck spot, and I wrote it on the back. It's too thick. It's super thick, probably 100 pound, plus collaged on, so it really shouldn't be much else. Pocket, tissue paper, paste, tissue that had gold in it. All the other gold fell out. So I love all of these things, and I made them work together. This pocket may be a stretch. It's a vellum pocket. Can you see that? And there's paste on it, and I think it's a pocket. It might go this way or this way. These are, I don't know if it shows, natural wonderful papers right here. A couple of these are. This was part of a rice paper thing that I had saved. This is probably part of a coffee filter or tissue, probably tissue, and a bit of that journal cover. I didn't use all that journal cover. If you have specific questions about any items you saw go by and then you don't see them in here, don't hesitate to ask me. This was a bit of wrapping paper. Made a journal with it a long time ago and was hoarding it. So again, focal point would probably go right there. Oh yeah, love this paper with the gold. Tony sent me one of these tickets, and I inked the edges to tie it in. Then see this paper with the gold? So there's two different papers collaged on the book page that's stamped with the stamp. And I didn't, except for the ones you saw me do, I didn't stamp as I went. I didn't add any paste. I didn't add any ink. I just played. This one might be a little thin. I folded the top down, but I'm going to try and make this a pocket on a page because I love the stamp. Here, pocket. Bunch of things that were sitting around. Again, didn't stamp. There was a box in here that said giblets, which to me meant bits of paper and trash. What it really was mostly postage stamps. So I worked on that too. It barely shut before. That's where I got that. The Recovery of Joy. So I think someone sent me this in Happy Mail, and I didn't want to fold it or use it. I wanted this to show. I might cut a little thing out of it. I might not. I mounted it on really thick paper because it was a little brittle, and I'm thinking maybe a tiny focal point here. I don't know. I might not put anything else on it. Pretty paper and pink. Every day is beautiful in its own way. I'm thinking it's a pocket, but maybe it's just a messy tuck on a page. It depends on the style of the journal, so I didn't cut that one or tear it down yet. These are all journaling cards, which means the back is blank. So when you decide which one you're working with, most of the time it's scraps and you're saying, okay, do I have something to write on? Yes, then it's a journaling card. Could I still make it into a pocket and glue it in? Sure. But I usually need journaling cards or things to write on more than I need pockets. Because even if the back is the ugliest thing you ever saw, or if it's cut aparts that you didn't like, you can use it as a pocket. These I expect to be journal cards, but I could also make them into a pocket in a heartbeat, just glue them on a page. These were thin papers that I layered. So these are pretty thin, but I love them, which is part of the reason I kept all those other scraps. This one is some of that rice paper thing and part of a Kleenex on top of a mixed media glittery page. Wrapping paper from Mary. Probably has some teeth marks in it. Yeah, right there. That's courtesy of Zelda. Then this paper I just couldn't throw away, and I put a little something on it. And these are all blank on the back for now. And then this one, I imagine this as a tip out, I think. So it could go here because you can write on the back and the front is cute. And this was a bit of an envelope that was in there that was just too cute. I should have probably stamped on it, but I inked the edges. This one, super cute, a little thin. There was something right there, so I did stamp one dragonfly. This piece of paper I've been hoarding forever. Again, that wonderful luscious tissue, and I put it over striped paper. And I don't know why the stripe was out or what it had to do anything, but the back is solid. I thought it'd be nice if I did butterfly or nature or florals or anything. And then couple more of these cards. Look how good they turned out. That one I did tear, and these are patterned papers, so they're fun. This was in my box, and it was on a super thin paper. Like I had collaged on a book page. I put it on a file folder, but I haven't cut it down yet, because in a big journal, maybe I would want it like this. In a smaller journal, I might want to cut it in half. I might want 2 big ones. Having the flexibility to cut it down later, I like that. It's still done. I can put it in my box. It's not a UFO. So all these things can get put away now that I showed you. That's part of why I wanted to film. And they will show up in future journals. Now, I, of course, started UFOs. So here's what I did. I think I mentioned these earlier in the video. I haven't sewed them together, haven't done anything with them. The only things that I reached for were covers, because I needed, like, I didn't have a piece of paper big enough to make this. This is a small mailer that is going to be a journal. This one too. So this will be a map. This one will be more vintage. This one was wallpaper. This one's fabric. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make these journals, and I'm going to decorate the heck out of them. I wanted to do the tiny bits of decorating with you because I know that's fun. Mary's commented before that she likes to watch me make ephemera and layers and clusters, and it's just what's on the counter, I think, makes it the most fun. This is still on the counter, and this is precious to me. I used a tiny bit of it on something else. It looks like handmade, but I don't think it is. Paper with bits, blue, and writing and text. Oh, how could you not put that right there? I will at some point, I don't know when, because it's a 4-day work week and super busy, and you know how that goes. I'm going to put these away safe. I'm out of iris cases at this point, I think. And just like this, and then probably put some of these things with them, or maybe I'll just put a big box over the top of it. Protection, right? Maybe if I put enough things. And then I will finish putting pages in those, because in my scraps, I don't even have enough to make pages. I have a bunch of small pages, but I need to build them out a little. And then I'll decorate them, and they'll be cleanup journals. And if I have time, we'll do it together. I might do some watching TV. I was wrapping up this video, and I totally missed a whole section of stuff we made. I think you saw most of it before, though. These are the pockets. There's not inked, there's blue, they're stamped on with the stamp. Again, it was already stamped. I cut them shorter because the paper was the wrong size or a different size, or I tried a partial book page that I found in there. There's some tinies. Those are great on pages. Then a bunch of tags. We worked on those together. I just might have added strings later as I found them. Again, the strings were on the counter or in the bottom of the box. And I like the variety. Things that turned out cute that I wouldn't have necessarily thought to make this tag if Mary hadn't sent me those things, right? And then I was like, oh, use some scraps. That is a great way to use up, say, cereal boxes and scraps. I could probably do that for a week because I found another bag. I always find another bag. Okay, these are big journaling cards. They were just in a different spot, so I didn't think of them. These were the first ones that I made. And then I made some smaller ones because the papers were smaller that I was layering on. And you can see there's a whole bunch of Christmas, so I'll put those away with Christmas. Bunch of gorgeous blue, some more Christmas blue. Look at this one. That one I'd been hoarding in that box for a while. And I did these like master boards where I laid it out on the full size, collage like crazy, and then cut it down. And this paper I had been hoarding for a long time too. Blue with silver stars. Janie sent me 2 whole pieces of that right after I used these up. I kind of felt like, but then I was like, well, that's awesome. I can probably use them as journal pages. I'm not sure. It's kind of a fibrous paper. See, there's more of it right there. Love it. I don't know how many items I made, and I don't know if the UFO journals count, but I definitely put a dent on that box. It is not going to overflow. I have one bag here I haven't gone through, so I'll go through this a little. I think sometimes I put stuff in there that shouldn't necessarily be in there, so it'll never get used. And I'm going to be more careful about keeping as many tags as I do. I'm not that big of a shopper, but I do like keeping the strings. Like if you buy a shirt and it has a string, but I don't necessarily need to keep all their tags because then you're dealing with weird shapes and layers. But some of these strings, like this one, that came from a shirt or pants or something. It came from clothing. So just keep that in mind. There's good stuff. And then I didn't have to tie the knots or anything. I hope you're inspired to use up your scraps and stick around because I am going to make some changes in this room for 2024. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.